Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Stevens here. I am here to do our book talk this week. Are you excited? I know I am. So, do you like stories? Of course you do. Me too. Did you ever think about writing your own story? Today, we are going to talk about 3 books that all have to do with writing your own story and how to do that. So, let's get started. So the first book we have is Rocket Writes a Story by Tad Hills. He is the author and the illustrator, which means he wrote the words, which is the author, and he did the pictures. So he's also the illustrator. So let's see how Rocket writes a story. Well, we have Rocket here, our puppy, and his teacher, the little yellow bird. And he loves stories and he loves words so much he collects them and he puts them into a tree. And they have this big, beautiful word tree. And his teacher's so proud, she even helped contribute to the word tree. But she says, what are we going to do with all of these words in this word tree? And Rocket has an idea. What do you think his idea is? Any guesses? Let's see. He says, I'm going to write a story. He announces it to his friends, and he announces it up to the tree where he first discovered the word nest. And it looks like there might be someone up in that tree. But he announces he's going to write a story. But the next day comes around and uh-oh, Rocket looks sad, doesn't he? Why do you think Rocket's sad? There's nothing written on his paper, and he wants to write a story. That would make me sad too. So it turns out he doesn't know what to write about. So he asks his teacher, and his teacher says, go find inspiration. Do you know what inspiration is? Inspiration is where you find things that help your mind get in the mood to do something creative, like write a book. So he goes all over looking for inspiration, and then one day he finds a new word. What's that word? Can you guys read it? Is it owl? And who's up in that tree? I told you there'd be a friend in that tree. So owl is up at the tree and he gets a new word. Well, Rocket is so excited and his teacher loves the new word and he seems like he might be on his path to writing his story. But I don't want to give the book away. So if you want to find out if Rocket and Owl become friends, and if Rocket ever finishes his story, come by and pick up Rocket Writes a Story by Tad Hills. The next book we have is, look, I wrote a book and you can too. This book is actually nonfiction, which means the things written in it are true. And this one is an informative nonfiction, so it doesn't really tell a story as much as tell you how to write a story. And this is written by Sally Lloyd-Jones. She's the author, and it is illustrated by Neil Layton. So let's get started and see what she teaches us about writing a story. Says when you want to write a book, first you need a good idea. Look at all the different places you can get good ideas from. Remember we talked about inspiration? Well, here you go. There's lots of different ways to get inspiration. And she talks about it. Staring out the window is a good one. Then she talks about having the right things to write about. So if you're writing for little babies, you don't want to make a bedtime story called Monsters Will Eat You. I wouldn't want to read that before bed either. So you have to think about your audience, and those are the people that are going to read your books, your readers. And you want to make sure you write the right thing for them. And of course, you definitely need a story of some sort. Here she takes you through the idea of a story, how you have a hero, something the hero wants, something standing in the way of her getting what she wants. And then, of course, the happy ending where she gets her horse, tames it, and rides it home. Fun, right? That sounds like a story I would read. She even talks to you about how to hook your readers in with good opening lines. So it says you need a good beginning. A bad beginning would be first we stood up, then we sat down. I have to agree, that's kind of boring. But then she said, here's a good beginning. Praying mantises have 6 legs and mandibles and eat their husbands. This is nonfiction because you absolutely didn't make it up. You see the great drawings? You're like, eek, no. Or you could write a fiction. A daddy had some children and one day he lost them. He's like, that's fiction because of course you made it up. Like he's looking for his children in the silliest places, even the toilet. Now she goes on to tell you all the things you need to write your book. She even talks about revising your story and how to get people to buy your book. It may or may not involve some cookies and tying people to chairs. I don't know. You're going to have to pick up the book and find out. This is Look, I Wrote a Book, and You Can Too by Sally Lloyd-Jones and Neil Layton. The last book I have for you today is one of my personal favorites. It's called Bad Kitty, Drawn to Trouble, and it's by Nick Brohl, who is the author and the illustrator. This book is if you want to take your stories to a whole new level. Nick takes you step by step through the process of making a Bad Kitty book. So you can see exactly, if you wanted to make a book like Bad Kitty, how you would do that. He even introduces himself as the author, and we even get to see the author as a first grader. I know some of you out there are first graders, so think about that. You could be writing a story now. And he introduces us to our character, Bad Kitty, and what makes Bad Kitty a good character. And then we get into setting. Did he put Bad Kitty in a volcano or near a volcano? I don't know if that's going to be good for Bad Kitty. And then he gives Bad Kitty some characters to play with. Zombies, lions. Oh, Bad Kitty is really in for it. So if you want a funny way to learn all about the different things to writing a book and introduce you to all the different terminology, there's even a glossary in the back of the book to teach you all about it. And Nick does a really good job of teaching you all about writing a book in Bad Kitty, Drawn to Trouble. Come by the library and check it out. Here are some more books to check out. The Word Collector, written and illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. The Best Story, written by Eileen Spinelli and illustrated by Anne Wilsdorf. A Squiggly Story by Andrew Larson and Mike Lowry. How to Write a Story by Kate Messner and illustrated by Mike Siegel. Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Stevens here. I am here to do our book talk this week. Are you excited? I know I am. So, do you like stories? Of course you do. Me too. Did you ever think about writing your own story? I bet you have a lot of great ideas and want to write them down. And if you are someone who is thinking about writing their own story, I have got 3 books for you today. Let's get started.